In this series, we're looking at the miracles of Jesus and how they tell us more than just the obvious outward depiction of the miracle itself, but each miracle points us toward some greater reality, some greater truth about Jesus himself and how he changes things. In this miracle in John chapter 2, it's the very first miracle of Jesus ever recorded, and so in his life things are just about to change. He's begun to gather his disciples around him. He attended a wedding. His mother was there. It must have been a family affair or friends of the family. It was near the place where Jesus grew up. And at that wedding, the wine ran out. Now, weddings were such a big deal in a village like that. There were huge expectations associated with these weddings that when the wine ran out, that's a major problem, a big error. And things were going to go quickly from bad to worse. Jesus' mother came to him with expectations. Let's read about that in John chapter 2. On the third day, a wedding took place in Cana at Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." "Woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied. "My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now, I can relate because we all have expectations of God. God, I need you to rescue this situation. But Jesus politely put his mother in her place. Things are about to change as Jesus starts his public ministry. He's no longer under his mother's authority anymore. Now he's going to follow only what God desires. Now, he spoke to her respectfully, but he said, "Why do you involve me?" In other words, leave me out of this. And Jesus' response to his mother teaches us a couple of things. First, he was going to act on the basis of his own purpose. What's interesting is that he actually did do something about the problem, but he did it in his own manner and in his own purpose rather than following his mother's agenda for him. And secondly, Jesus was going to act on the basis of his own timing. Throughout the story of Jesus' life, he had this strong sense of when the time was right, when it was not right. And Mary, to her credit, surrendered to that. She backed off, let Jesus lead, instructed the servants to do whatever it is he says. Now, as we think about the disappointments in our lives, the fact is many of us are and have been disappointed with God. We thought God should or would do a certain thing for us, that he'd come to the rescue, that he'd save the party. Whatever fix we were in, we turned to him and asked him to help. And we thought God might answer our prayer in a certain way, and maybe in your life you needed a miracle. You were looking to God. He didn't meet your expectations, do the things that you thought he was going to do. This is a great reminder that usually when we're disappointed with God, it's because our expectations are out of whack. We come to him with our agenda, the way Mary did to Jesus. She had certain expectations of Jesus that she thought he should fulfill. And likewise, we come to God deciding how we think he should act, whether that's something that he promised or not. And often the problem is that people who speak for God or represent God, whether they be pastors or TV teachers or Bible study leaders, often make promises for God and lead us to think that God will act in a certain way when God never actually promised to do that thing. And so when we're asking God to do a miracle in our lives and he doesn't act on our command or act according to our expectations, again, he has his own purposes. He has a perspective that we don't see. He has his own timeline about things. And so it's good for us to remember those things when we feel like God is actually the source of some of our disappointments in life. Take a minute and talk about that using the questions that you see now on the screen.